Hello everyone, my name is Sumit. Welcome to my channel SumitTube. In this tutorial series, we will learn how to design beautiful apps using Matlab app design. We will start with the basics like how to drag and drop components, edit their properties and write callback functions. We will be designing all of our apps from scratch and explaining the process step by step, making it very easy to understand the design flow. First, we will learn about different components by creating some simple apps. Then we will design professional apps that include different components, private and public properties and functions. We will also cover some complex examples such as designing multi-window apps. After designing apps, we will learn how to make standalone desktop applications and share them with other users. They can install and run the app like any other app without needing to have Matlab installed on their computers. I'll create a YouTube playlist including all the Matlab app designer videos. I recommend watching the videos in order so you don't miss anything. The Matlab version I am using is 2023B, which is the latest version at the time of making this video. If you are using a different version, you may notice some differences, but the core functionality remains the same. So it does not matter which Matlab version you are using. Okay, so let's get started. In today's lesson, we are going to learn about slider. This is a component where user can change value in a specified range. Now this video consists of four parts. In part 1, we are going to learn about basics of slider, its different properties and how to configure them. In part 2, we are going to learn about different types of callbacks functions this slider has. In part 3, we are going to learn about the event argument of the callback function. In part 4, we are going to learn about a special callback function known as value changing callback function. Okay, let's bring a slider in our app. Now, if you are using Matlab version 2023B or newer, you can see different types of slider. One is named slider and another one is named slider range. In today's lesson, we are going to learn about this slider. You can find this slider in every Matlab app designer version. Now it comes with this default label slider. If you want, you can keep it. But anyway, I'm going to delete this one. Now let's resize it and make it bigger so you can see easily. As you can see, when I resize this slider, this automatic tip label changes. Anyway, let's change the font size to 24 so you can see easily. Okay. Right now, the value is set to 0. This one indicates the value. This one is called slider thumb. The minimum value is 0 and maximum value is 100. Okay, now let's go through its properties. And under this slider group, you can see the value property. This is the most important property. Right now, the value is set to 0 as you can see here. Now, if you want, you can change this default value. Let's change the default value to 50. Now, to see the change, either you have to click enter on your keyboard or you have to click outside. Click outside, you can see right now the default value is set to 50. Anyway, let's change this value back to 0. And second one is limit. It indicates the lower limit and upper limit. Lower limit is 0, upper limit is 100. You can change it directly from here, or alternatively what you can do, you can click on this three dot and you can see the minimum value and max. Okay, let's keep this minimum value unchanged and let's set the maximum value to 5. And again, if you want to see the change, either you have to click enter on your keyboard or just click outside. You can see the value is from 0 to 5. Now, of course, you can change the limits from here. Alternatively, what you can do, you can just double click on this minimum or maximum value. For example, double click on this. This one is selected and you can change the minimum value. Similarly, if you double click on this 5, you can change the maximum value. Now, slider has two different types of callback. One is known as value changed callback and another one is known as value changing callback. In this part, we are going to learn about value changed callback. In part 4, we will learn value changing callback. Now, let's talk about this value changed callback. This callback is only executed once the slider is done moving. Now, we already know the basics. First, we have our app. Now, this app may have different components and each component has their own set of properties. To access a specific property of a specific component, we have to use this app.component.property notation. Now consider this slider. Right now the value is 3 and we want to access this value property. For this, first we have our app, then we have our slider, which is the component name, and the property we want to access is the value property. So we have to use this app.slider.value and it would give us this current value 3. Now in our app, we will use two different components. One is slider and another one is edit field. What do we want actually? We want to get the value from slider and set the value inside this edit field. Now to get the slider value, we have to use this app.slider.value notation. And to set the edit field value, we have to use this app.editfield.value. Then we are just going to assign using this equal to operator. Okay, right now we are going to write this value changed callback function. For this, we need a numeric edit field. So let's bring one. Let's change the font size 24. Let's delete this corresponding label and make this one bigger. So you can align the value in the middle. Okay, so we have to write the callback function for this slider. So we have to select this one and go to this callbacks tab. As you can see, there are two types of callbacks here. One is value changed and another one is value changed. Right now, we will write this value changed callback function. So click on this drop down menu and add value changed function. Okay, Matlab gives us this value changed function. Is written here value change, so you know the type, and also it gives this default value change and callback function name. As you can see, it has two arguments. One is app and another one is event argument. Now Matlab automatically gives us the first line. It gives you the slider value using this app.slider.value notation. Now we want to set the edit field value. So what are we going to write? We write app dot edit field and we will set the value property slider value. So our callback function is complete. So let's run this and verify our result. Okay, let's bring this middle. Now if I change this slider, you can see the value is updated. Let's set the value to 3. Now, as you can see, when you are moving this slider, you can bring the value close to 3, but not exactly 3. If you want to set the value exactly 3, it's better to click on this tick level. For example, if you click on this 3 level, you can see the value 3. Similarly, click on this level 4, tick level, and you can see the value 4. Now, one thing you may have noticed, when I'm changing this slider, the value does not update. The value only updates when you are done moving. So, the moment you release the slider thumb, the value updates. That's why this is called value changed callback. Value only updates when you are done changing the slider thumb. Now, every callback function has two arguments. One is app argument and the second one is event argument. Now, the app argument is the most important input because you can use it to get information about everything happening in the app. Now, let's talk about this event argument. This argument contains information about the event that caused the callback to be executed. It can access specific information about users' interaction. Now, consider this slider. Right now, the value is 1. Remember this value because we are going to change it. Let's change this value to 4. Now we want to get this present value 4. We can get this using this event argument. For this, we have to write event.value. Now, of course, we can get this value using app argument also. For that, we have to write app.slider.value. Now, remember this previous value 1. We can also get this using event argument. For this, we have to write event.previous value. We cannot get this value using app argument. So, it remembers specific information about user interaction. Now, I have opened a new file. we want to see the present value as well as the previous value of this slider. For this, we need two numerical edit field. So let's bring those inside our app. Let's change the font size to 24 so we can see easily. Now notice one thing. Right now the component name is edit field. What happens if I change this associated label? Let's give this label name to present. This is going to show our present value, or you can say also the new value. Now the moment I change this label, you can see the component name changes. It gives this label name before this edit field. Now if you are happy with this name is fine, or alternatively what you can do, you can just double click here and give a name as you want. Anyway, this is going to show us our present value. We need one more numeric edit field. This is going to show us the previous value. Let's also change the font size to 24 and let's see here. And I am going to give this one's name as previous value or the old value. As you can see here, the component name is previous edit field. Okay. Now let's also bring one more edit field, but this time we are going to bring text edit field. This is going to show us our change. That means whether value is increasing or decreasing. Let's change this name to change. Okay, so this is our edit field. Can listen size a little bit. Okay. Now we have to write our callback function. So first select this slider and go to this callbacks group. Now remember one thing, we have to write this value changed function, not value changing function. We are going to write a value changed function for this slider. So select this drop down menu and add a value changed function. Okay, right now we are inside this value change function, as you can see, and the function name is slider value changed. This has two arguments, app arguments and event arguments. We are going to use this event argument of this callback function. Now Matlab gives us this automatically first line. Okay, let's delete this. Now first we are going to get the present value, or you can say it like our new value. Okay, for this first let's create a variable. Let's give the variable name to new. Now we are going to use this event argument of our callback function. So let's type event. Now notice one thing, when we use this event argument, Matlab does not give us this automatic suggestions. So you have to be a little bit careful for writing property name. Now every property name starts with uppercase. So B would be uppercase followed by all lowercase letter. Okay. Now let's set the edit field value. Remember, we are going to set the present edit field value to this variable new. Okay, we are done. Now let's write code for previous value, or we can say old value. Okay, let's create a variable. Let's call this variable name old. Now we have to use this event argument. Now previous value has two words. Every word start with uppercase. So P would be uppercase followed by all lowercase. Now value is a new word. So you have to use uppercase of V followed by all lowercase. This type of naming convention is known as camel casing. Many programming languages follow this naming convention. Matlab also follow this. Okay, now let's set the previous edit field value. Here is our previous edit field, and let's set the value old. Okay, now let's write code to indicate the change. What is going to happen if the new value is greater than the old value, then we are going to set the change edit field, which is our text edit field, value to increase. That means our value is increasing. Okay. Else, that means when the old value is greater than new value, that means our value is decreasing. So let's set the value to decrease. Okay, we have completed writing our codes. Let's check this one. Okay, here is our app. Now, what are we going to do? We are going to change the value from 0 to 3. So, present value or new value would be 3 and previous and old value would be 0. And we are increasing the value from 0 to 3. So, we should see the word increase inside this change box. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so previous value is 0, present value is 3 and we have increased the value. Now, what would happen if we change the value from 3 to 1? In that case, this present value would be previous value. So, every time we change the value, the present value would be previous value. So, 3 would go here and present value would be 1 because we are changing the value to 1 and we are decreasing the value from 3 to 1. So, we should see decrease inside this change text edit field. Okay, let's click on this one. Okay, previous value was 3. Right now, the present value or new value is 1 and we have decreased the value. Now, let's increase the value from 1 to 5. So, we should see 5 inside this present edit field and 1 should be the previous value. So, this value would go from here to here and we are increasing the value. So, we should see increase here. Okay, let's click on this 5 and you can see right now the present value is 5 and previous value was 1. That means we have increased the value from 1 to 5 and we see the increase inside this change text edit field. So the code is working properly. Now let's talk about this value changing callback. This callback is executed while the slider is moving. That means it is executed many times in a row. Now to get the value, we have to use this event.value argument. Now, one thing I want to mention here, there is no previous value property for this value changing callback. This previous value property is only available for value changed callback. Okay, now let's write this value changing callback function. So select this slider and go to this callbacks. Now I have opened a new file. We have going to write this value changing function. So select this drop down menu and add value changing function callback. Okay, right now we are inside this value changing function and the callback function name is also slider value changing. Now, as you can see, value is getting from this second argument which is known as event argument. So, we are going to set this event dot value to app dot edit field value. So, write app dot edit field and we are going to just set the value property of the edit field. Let's run this program. Okay, here is our app. Now what should happen? The value should continuously update as we move this slider thumb. Okay, let's change this and as you can see, the value is continuously updates. So what you have to do, you have to click, hold and drag to see this continuous change. Now, of course, if you click on this label, you can see the exact value. But if you also move this slider, the value continuously updates. That's why this one is known as value changing callback function. That's all from today's video. Hope you have learned something new today. Let me know your thoughts about this tutorial series. Add your comments below this video. As usual, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and I am going to catch you in the next video.